the treasury broke and they say that recession jamming. So to foreign countries, spring start migrating. They lose faith in the...
Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, and Trinidad, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. Pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the Corridor Transformation, the Monday edition. And of course, it happened to be not just by happenstance, but also by serendipity. And that is, today marks the 36th anniversary of the attempted 1990 coup in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, I was interviewed this morning on one of the traditional television stations where I gave my own experience in terms of contributing to the resuscitation or the revitalization of our democracy. I mean, it was tremendous. But of course, that video will be played tomorrow. I want to see if the new technology that we are applying or the new methodology we are applying, I want to, of course, interview right home, about 2 or 3 persons. Of course, Mr. COP will join us a little later, but the show has to go on. Yes, indeed.
So the treasury broke and they say that recession jamming. So to foreign countries, spring start migrating. They lose faith in the country, they say we gone down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talk it nonsense, but the majority of we decide we're not going to run, because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing, yes, that is our. So our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try. Just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life could be much sweeter.
Yes, indeed, of course. A pleasant good night once again. Of course, COP has joined us. A pleasant good night to you, Mr. COP. And I trust that everything is well. I trust that you had an incident-free weekend. My weekend was one of contemplation, one of, well, I should say solid and solace introspection. Because after all, today celebrates the 36th anniversary of the attempted coup, and whilst I may not have been at the level of, let's say, high political decision making, certainly as a citizen, I feel that I have a duty, and having regard to what I would have done, a responsibility, of course, to not only pay homage, but to also recognize that Trinidad and Tobago has come a long way and still has a long way to go. So a pleasant good night to you, my friend, you and your family. And let's make certain that we have a double whammy here. That is, we test your volume and your mic whilst at the same time making your contributions. A pleasant good night to you.
Good night to you, Lennox Smith, and to all the listeners and viewers. You hear me loud and clear, Lennox Smith?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear. Go ahead, my friend. Like you're ready
And
for
good
them.
night, and good night to all the listeners and viewers of the Corridor Transformation. Welcome and thank you for welcoming us into your homes. Everybody on the phone, the laptop, in the bedroom, the living room. Good night, to look onto the Corridor Transformation. Um, see now, the ones they learn.
Yeah, I believe there is something loose there, but you go
Yeah,
ahead with your introductions, and let me
you're
see.
touching something.
Yeah, let me see if I can fix that. There are some there are some cats in here, and I don't know if from time to time you leave something one way and they come back and it's something else. But I know what to do. I know what to do. All right.
It's not the caller and the ground reporter alone have cats. You have two.
Yeah, boy, yeah, boy. So it's a catty situation. But
Yes, there's nothing wrong
say
with
what?
that.
Yeah,
No problem.
let me just fix you there, and then I will just momentarily go off. You continue with
Yes,
your
my
introductions.
weekend.
Yeah, and then I will
My weekend was
I'll
not a
reach you.
bad weekend. My weekend was just a working weekend and a hustling weekend.
Okay.
Weekend where you have to go out and look for it and ensure that you get it, you have it, to be comfortable in life. But the weekend is a comfortable weekend. You have to make it do and be contented with what you have, what you're going to do with what you have. I hope all the listeners and viewers of the Corridor Transformation had a good weekend. And all they had was to do what all they had was to do. And all of you outside, all the mothers and fathers outside there, don't take this 2 months home and leave them children them home to just play. Let them make sure and do the revision. Still have work to do whilst the home. That's better.
Yes. You are so right.
And
You are so right.
let
You are
me
so
say
right.
good night to the ground report team, Nigel Snipe and Andy Williams. I wish to see Andy Williams make a intervention on this program one night. Not even a call we get from you, Andy Williams. What's wrong with you? Eh?
Now, that's
What's
all
wrong
right.
with
You know, we say on this program, we meet you in pass you. So
Yeah.
it is yet to be. But the technology is such now that we are using. I hope we can test it again tonight, where we could bring in from wherever they are. We bring them in into the program, and they have a direct connection to us here on the program. So. That I am looking forward to. In fact, I sent some links, and I expect by quarter past and half past that we will have at least 2 persons coming in to test the system. Because what we are doing, as you know, is to try to reach as much people as possible in their respective communities. We have a philosophy, of course, that says that this. To deal with Trinidad and Tobago, it's an all of community effort, and therefore at the granular level, at the micro level, at the family level, at the individual level, at the neighborhood level, that is where the change will come from, and the sustainable change for positivity. And so we are leading the way by, of course, making use of the technology. So last week, for example, we did something with the people in Picton, and of course it was an eye-opener, frankly, and they have given us some common issues that we may well be aware of, and there are other issues that are unique to their own community, because I mean, let's face it, Picton is a hill, is a precipice going. If you are coming down that hill, there's a precipice that many people really fear, having regard to the trepidation and the dangerous corner that is there. So in that context, I'm talking about the uniqueness of different communities.
they say it resembles the hills of Skull and Dry Bones.
Well, you see, I mean, that's how dangerous and feared it is, and it ought to be, because I mean, there's just a single railing coming down on the side, on the eastern side of it, of the road itself, and beyond that, well, boy, you're plunging something like nearly maybe a whole kilometer down, no more than that, about 2 or 3 kilometers. That's tell you how steep that particular piece is. It's just hard rock going straight up and, of course, meeting the road at the top of it. So it's dangerous, but I just say that to say that every community is unique and every community has its own challenges, but at the same time there are some common challenges such as food, shelter, clothing, some need, of course, the whole question of social development services opening up. They need, of course, employment opportunities. They need young people to get into skills and to upgrade if they don't have already, but if they don't, they must have a skill and all of that. To do what? To make their contribution to society and to be, of course, contributing citizens, and at the same time their quality of life and standard of living must be improved or increased as they pursue the respective, let's say, vocation or occupations in Trinidad and Tobago. So that is where we are, and that is why that initiative is being taken. Of course, I know Mr. Karanaj usually listens to us. Well, your turn next. We may well ask you to let me say, all you have to have is internet connection and your phone if you don't have a laptop and so on. But we'll send you a link, and when we send you the link, you will join us right here. And of course, you will hear all the callers. That doesn't take away the callers, and they making their inputs. In that way, we really have a program that meets the challenges of contemporary times. Without a common studio as long time, that's a old time thing now. We send the studio to you. You look reasonable, you know, like how me and COP does look. You don't have to look exactly dapper like us. But the fact is that we expect that you will be, let's say, photographic, meaning that your appearance must be, if not tantalizing, but at least reasonable. So that's all we ask. And once you get the link, you click on that, you get right into the studio here on George Street, just as COP and so many others. And we will continue, of course, to do what we have to do. Don't forget, of course, that the lines are open. The lines are open. Today it marks the 36th anniversary of the attempted coup, and we have, of course, a bumper program for you. As I said, I was on television this morning, given my own version. First time people realized the extent to which Laventil played in, of course, the restoration of our democracy. We not only cleaned out the chamber of the Red House in terms of where the parliament would have been held, and as I said this morning, the stench of death, the stale urine, and of course the gunshots and the bullet holes both in the carpet and in the floor below, symbolizing the horror that the former Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson would have gone through, having been shot inside of the Parliament chamber itself, and then of course the clean out and so on. But I omitted to mention one thing this morning, is that we found one side of a shoe, of a pair of shoe, one side, and because of its uniqueness and apparent expensive nature, we said that has to be Muriel Donovan Mark Davidson shoes, because we knew her for wearing some very expensive shoes. So I took it and I got in contact with her. She was working, I think she was heading a Clico insurance entity in Barataria. I found her and I showed it to her. She said, yes, this is mine. And all she said was, thank you. Not that I was looking for a little dollar or two, but she could have said, hold that to put to some charity, having regard to the fact that we caught our Aunt Nenen and everything else to get the maces repaired. Why Dilemma, I want to thank them, of course, for contributing tremendously. The young man who was the goldsmith, the farm over, I forget his name now, but I think it's Thompson or something like that. He did all the honors, and when they say that would have had to go to England to be repaired, we repaired it right here by the through the initiative of Laventil youths and the Laventil community. So well done. And what we are saying is that never again must that be, even though we are in a state of emergency, that level of barbary, that level of evil, that level of anti-democratic behavior must never again visit Trinidad and Tobago. And I commend all of all who contributed to and who, of course, caused the eternal flame to be lighted outside the Red House to symbolize the fact that that must never happen again. But I want to thank, of course, all the young people in the Laventille community then and now for, of course, going the straight and narrow. We have some work that we have to do in terms of those in gangs and engage in gang warfare and, of course, the borderline issue. But we will get there eventually because this is a human situation and it must be resolved by human beings. Let me play for you another piece as well to symbolize this day and to, of course, pay homage to those who contributed. Yes, indeed. And I want to say, of course, there's a biblical saying, very popular, and that is, of course, who say good things cannot come out from Nazareth? Well, Jesus Christ did. And, of course, we know for sure that Laventille has the unmistakable and the only track record of inventing the only percussion instrument in the 20th century. And therefore, there's more where that came from and could come, and therefore I have supreme confidence that when that happens, of course, all of Trinidad and Tobago will eventually, of course, recognize that we are in this crucible called Trinidad and Tobago together, and together we must, of course, respond appropriately and to make life much more comfortable. We would, of course, laugh at the days when SOE will no longer be a feature of life in Trinidad and Tobago, and that everybody is prospering or have the potential to prosper, and that crime and criminality will be so low that, of course, we will become the envy of the rest of the world, if not the rest of the Caribbean. That is a vision. That is the hope. That is the eventual playbook, and I have no doubt in my mind that COP will have some contributions to make with respect to that, what I consider to be, some may say pie in the sky. I say that that is futuristic and my prophecy. Go ahead, sir.
I say to fix this country, you need to fix the East-West corridor and Laventille. Anytime you don't fix Laventille and you don't fix the East-West corridor, we will always have disturbance in Trinidad and Tobago. Lennox Smith,
Good.
It is heartbroken to see the condition and the lack of development in those areas and them. And I'll tell you something, and not just you alone, the listeners and viewers of the corridor transformation. What I see, because I've seen ministers doing video in those areas and them, and especially them PNM areas and them. And what I see, the destruction that the PNM created, a colony of people of dependency, dependent on the PNM, because them create a colony of people just for political support with no opportunity, and just create, they will pay a penalty for that. I have been seeing Philip Alexander going into those communities and them, and the condition at those communities and them, even the walls and them with moles and all these things. Okay, them things in the past. That the destruction that the People's National Movement leave behind. The coalition of interests have a constitutional responsibility now. If you want to represent Trinidad and Tobago and the 41 constituency electoral district we have in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, you will show interest in those communities and them. Set a team to move in those constituencies and them, and do your job. And your job as a public servant is to represent the people and them. And it will be so good and so great for those communities and them young people, the children, the future, to see the United National Congress and the coalition of interest show interest and eradicate the crime, the violence, and create the opportunity for the mothers and fathers so that they could create opportunity to the future of the community. This government, the coalition of interest, have a constitutional responsibility to assist the whole country, but show more interest because the PNM classified as a medical epidemic, a crime epidemic in those areas and them. And those areas and them at least have 20% of the UNC supporters over there. Show interest, in my view, show interest and make that 20% as UNC supporters in those interests, in those areas and them. Let it come to 60%. And how it will reach 60%, Lennox and viewers of the corridor transformation, is by showing interest and doing your job and assisting people in the time of need. That is the number one responsibility that every government minister, especially social development ministry, national security, that is a constitutional responsibility they have to assist the vulnerable.
Yes, it is, of course, and I mean it goes in line with and consistent with the talk in the country today, which of course is equity, transparency, accountability, that they all should be subjected to the laws of the country. So the rule of law must prevail, and we saw that, of course, very poignantly, or very, what I consider to be very visible with the Sabga and the Hadid matter, and it just demonstrates that maybe there is an opportunity here, largely because of an incident that ought not to have happened, but happened. And they say God is a Trini. I don't want to go that far, but only to say that is certainly a very good sign that our democracy is opening up, maturing, and therefore there could be no super individuals who is above the law or above the regulations or above the tenets of the principle of equity. And I think it augurs well for Trinidad and Tobago. I want to go straight to the video that was played on television this morning with respect to, remember, we are still celebrating the 36th anniversary of the attempted coup, and I would like to share this with the audience to let them understand how significant, not because Ebelayo is maybe the brainchild of Lennox Smith, but because of the importance of our democracy. Democracy requires eternal vigilance, and when you lapse, when you allow any government, it doesn't matter which government, to ride roughshod, then of course you will have situations like the 1990 coup reoccurring. Of course, it happened under Eric Williams as well, but to a lesser extent, in that the ministers and so on were not injured, but certainly the uprising that triggered in 1970, that triggered, of course, a state of emergency as well. And therefore, the point I am making is that violence cannot be the solution in any situation, in any democracy, in any country, to, of course, settle political and socio-economic scores. That's the point I am making. But let's get an idea from the former Speaker of the House, Nizam Mohammed, as he saw it, and the contribution made by MLIO, which, of course, nobody else could have. So don't vex with me if I'm like Tasha Clay or Muhammad Ali and claiming victory, claiming authority, claiming that since no one else has done it, then don't vex with me if it is that we did it and therefore must take the credit for it.
As soon as stability was restored to the country, the Speaker's task was to restore the Red House.
After all was over and done, the Red House was in a total mess. The desecration was indescribable. You had dead bodies that had to be taken out, but what remained behind was the stench. And the Red House was really turned upside down, not to talk about the condition of the chamber. Again, bad as things were in terms of the economy, we could have called in one of the ministries to see about cleaning up and that, the initial cleaning up and all of that. However, I invited the people of Laventille to come and assist with the cleaning up. People came to the chamber from as far off as Faizabad to assist in that initial cleaning up process. The mace was badly damaged, and we had to get expert help in order to restore the mace in the that was in the parliament at the time. And the people of Laventille, through an organization which I remember as MLIO, Morval Laventille Improvement Organization, they were the ones who foot the bill for the repairs to the mace. And others as well, we appealed for people to make contribution to, towards the restoration of the Parliament Chamber and the Red House. It is not that the government would have been unable to find the money, but again, we wanted to, I wanted to involve the people.
As soon as stability was restored to the country, the Speaker's task was to restore the Red House.
After all was over and done, the Red House.
So that is the contribution that was made, and I want to say that there is more. When the Commission of Inquiry would have completed its work and, of course, making its recommendation and its findings, in that I think was page 214 and 215, there it is right now, where MLIO has to be one among the various government institutions that are to be honored with a special medal for the contribution made in the aftermath, in our case, and of course those who were working assiduously, like the army and the police and so on, during the let's say the infancy moment of that tragic and unfortunate circumstance. I had cause to be on television this morning with, of course, a cameraman who is still working with TTT, but he gave his harrowing experience, and he said that up to now he has not been able to overcome that psychologically. This morning when I was speaking, it was as if it was yesterday, and I told the I told the interviewer, listen, I took some time before people get to find out what this the role that we would have played, but again, I waited until certain waters were under the bridge. And what I was referring to, because I mean this is our program, my own psychological readiness to, of course, relive, or in my mind, of course, and in my memory, the very emotional, and I'm sure all those who were there in that environment would have had similar experiences emotionally, having to look at the urine in glass, for example, and I could imagine the indignity suffered by those who had to pee or had to urinate in glass and then leave it there. And as I said, the most harrowing and most, what I consider devastatingly psychological experience was to see the bullet holes that went through the carpet and through the wooden floor. That time the Red House had wooden floor, the chamber had wooden floor then, and it went through that as well. And of course, blood just around the hole, suggesting that the bleeding of the former, or the former late Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson, who had to lay there in the most harshest of conditions. But one also remembers when he said, attack with full force, defending, even though in a very, what I consider be inhospitable and a very tragic and a very, what I consider be life-losing scenario, said very bravely, attack with full force. And I think that is something will always resonate with me, and that will happen annually, obviously. But I also appealed to the present government, because it was a similar government, similar in the sense that it was Kamala Prasad Bissessa, the then Prime Minister, who initiated that commission of inquiry after the PNM refused on numerous occasions until the partnership came into government in 2010, and that commission of inquiry was initiated, and I think that it will augur well for them to at least give life to the fundamental recommendations of that commission of inquiry. Quite a voluminous document. I think it's almost 1,000 pages, I believe, close to. And but of course, a lot of nice recommendations. And I did mention that because we have lost the Zoso bill, for example, at this point in time, that some of those recommendations may well augur well for contemporary times. It's only 36 years ago, but of course the memory lives as if it was yesterday. And this government has come full circle, and it behoves on it, in my humble view, that they should do the honors and give life to those recommendations. Any comment you want to make now?
You're going good.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, and it is important that we understand that. I talked about Ronald Reagan's position on democracy. He says that every generation has a duty and responsibility to defend democracy, and it is so for this generation as it was for the last generation and the generations that experienced, of course, that 1990 attempted assault on our democracy, and in fact the disruption. In fact, of course, I did mention this morning as well that only one pillar of our democratic processes, meaning that the separation of power, which is a fundamental to our democratic tradition and should I say experience and execution, was the judiciary. But on second thought, after coming out from the interview, I realized, but no, because the judiciary the judicial system was suspended. They could have no courts, and I'm sure they too would have been traumatized to know that persons who they would be rubbing shoulders with, whether the Prime Minister and other members of his cabinet, to see that they would have been subjected to this. So I want to say that all of the major pillars of the democratic process that we know and have inherited from the Westminster system was traumatized by that exercise. I'm talking here about the executive. I'm talking about the legislature. The parliament itself was assaulted. And then, of course, we have the judiciary. And we also have, of course, the fourth pillar of democracy, and that is the media. And, of course, at TTT, as I said, the cameraman of that time and still is today, was given his own harrowing experience as to what transpired as far as his own experience is concerned. So that is very, 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 very significant, and people, we cannot afford to have another situation, so that when the issue of a telephone conversation that made rounds over the weekend became a national concern, and what would have triggered the present administration's detention through the PDOs, by talking about the SABGA and the other two Hadids, one could appreciate why the state, the executive, had to make the move that they make. They would have been delinquent. There would have been an abdication of their responsibility if what was contained or what is contained in that video or that audio materialized, because the NAR did not escape blame, because there was a school of thought that certain elements of the national security apparatus were warning them that these people are planning to do this and that and so on, and they paid it no heed because they believed that somehow Trinidad and Tobago, God is a Trini, and therefore we are immune. Well, I'm sure that this administration, out of an abundance of caution, did what they had to do to secure Trinidad and Tobago. And those naysayers and people like, of course, the opposition, who would want, of course, to slight this whole affair. You cannot have the people that otherwise not only would not rub shoulders with us, but making statements in their own, let's say, cocoon, or in their own domain, or in their own sanctuary, and having the capacity in terms of financial and other influential resources, having regard to the fact that we know that they supported the PNM in no uncertain terms, and in fact, I think the video itself the audio itself confessed that, and therefore I say kudos to the government for, out of an abundance of caution, taking that kind of action. Otherwise, the situation might have been different, and you cannot fault the government for taking the kind of what I consider to be proactive as opposed to reactive when the NAR found itself in that situation in 1990. So there are similarities and there are lessons, and I think the lessons have been well learned by the present administration for taking, of course, the kind of precaution to protect you and I, to protect the society. After all, when one remembers, the burnings of Port of Spain, almost flat, and of course the attack on businesses and the savagery that period marked for Trinidad and Tobago. One can say that we were taken back to maybe Neanderthal times or caveman type times. That level of savagery, that level of Jurassic behavior cannot be countenanced, and therefore I want to say tonight, on the anniversary of the attempted coup, kudos to the government for taking the kind of action having regard to what is now in the public domain. We didn't know all of that before, but now that we know, we want to thank them for, of course, securing Trinidad and Tobago. COP.
They did the right thing. But I always ask myself, how we had a 1990 coup, and we every year, we proud in this country we celebrate 36th anniversary of the 1990. What is there to be celebrated? We had people lose their life. The biggest losers in this 1990 was the black businessmen and them in Port of Spain areas. And everybody else, race, get the opportunity, get loans to build back their business. And the only place, race that did not get the opportunity was the African community. And today, after 36 years, wise, we must celebrate the anniversary of the coup and the shooting of our Prime Minister Ian Robinson. The Republic of Trinidad and Tobago learned nothing of that, in my view. We haven't even changed our ways of thinking and say, all right, many more lives could I lose. And let us, what they was fighting for, what the Jamaat was fighting for, same thing the black woman was fighting for. Equality, justice, for all, better representation, for all, better opportunities, better representation, better quality police service, opportunity. That's what everybody was fighting. Everybody was fighting. And after 36 years, we learned nothing from that. 36 years, we learned the black community is in 10 times more problems. It's in 10 times more problems. What the black leaders and them was fighting for. What Kwame fight for? What this Makandal Daga fight for? What the NJAC fight for? What Nelson Mandela fight for? What Martin Luther King fight for? What all the black leaders fight for all over the world? We see development in other Caribbean countries. But in Trinidad and Tobago, I see that. And I will still say this. If you put all the Caribbean islands GDP together, it will reach $60 billion. We have $60 billion.
Trinidad and Tobago has. Yes, of course, let me invite, of course, the callers now. I know that very, very interesting discussion. I know that many of you were not familiar as to how close to the fountainhead, so to speak, that the organizers of this particular program would have been, and more so Laverton. So I know people are stunned on a daily basis as to the information coming through the corridor transformation, but there is a saying that, of course, there are sleeping giants, and now it is time for it to roar. And to roar we must, because Trinidad and Tobago need us now. And of course, it is always said that when a country or a society is in dire straits, there's always a hero to emerge. Whether or not those who have the responsibility to facilitate, to nurture, to grow that, make a decision. And I want to say to them as well that whether they like it or not, it will happen, but the pace at which it will happen depends on their enthusiasm and their willingness to participate and to facilitate. That's all I can say. I want to say, my friend, yes, you are quite right. The African businessman has suffered tremendously. Many of them did not return to business. Many of them were so frustrated that they simply went into the twilight and never returned to business and live a very, what I consider to be secluded life. Why am I saying so? Because I've seen it repeated itself coming out of COVID. Right around here, I can check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 businessmen of African descent have closed down their businesses or are limping along and struggling because they have families to take care of as well, but they have to constrain themselves in such a way that they may well become chief cook, bottle washer, and everything else in order to keep a business going. When prior to COVID, they would have had people employed, and that is so important, because once we have the institutions to employ our young people, take for instance some of whom could have been employed coming out of school this month. I'm talking about over 13,000 of them. We had averaged in the Laventille and environs community at the time when it was common entrance, and so on, some 900 of the 9,000 that would have failed. But this is a different scenario altogether. So let me do hazard a guess having regard to the proliferation of crime, criminality, drug and human trafficking, as well as, of course, gang warfare, etc. No one really knows what the final number is, but what I can say, it is less than, cumulatively, than those who are prepared to do good, who are prepared to be law-abiding. And therefore, we have to focus on, as well, on those who are so engaged, simply because the opportunities for Trinidad and Tobago will certainly be in limbo if we do not address that problem frontally. And that is where MLIO has come in. That is where we focused, and I want to tell you, so far we have been extremely successful, but the potential to be even more successful is still there. But those who have the purse strings of the country and the authorities so to do must now, of course, engage. And engagement here means that you must inculcate, analyze, recognize, and then act. Last week we talked about, of course, prognostication and diagnosis, and then application of medicine, which of course is the prescription phase. I think we are in the prescription phase, and because there is a synergy, there is a nexus between the government and, let's say, the leadership of MLIO, or put more specifically, my own association with the coalition of interests, and therefore the government of Trinidad and Tobago, I think sooner rather than later must be uppermost in the minds of everybody to solve this burgeoning problem that would be exacerbated with the determination of their secondary school life, over 13,000 young people. So that is so important and so critical at this point in time.
Every 4 years,
yes,
every 4 years, is 52,000 children.
Look at that.
Leaving school.
Yes, indeed.
Every 4 years.
Let me call on those who are prepared to make their calls. Please call in now. Those persons who are listening, and I have given them the link, you can begin to link up with us now, because I think we have enough time has elapsed, and I want to, of course, ask you, COP, to invite, tell people to view, to of course, like, etc. You know how
like,
you
share, and comment.
Yes, man, go ahead.
Like, share, and comment. According to JLF, good night to you, JLF. Like, share, and comment. And smash that subscribe button. Don't be ashamed and don't be bashful to call the program and be on the chat. Dialogue in unity with all the chat members and don't be ashamed and bashful. If it's your first time, build your confidence and be part of the program. Show that appreciation. The first time callers and them too. Show love and show support. Nadia, good night to you. Jowlet, good night to you. I ain't watching everybody on my phone, but good night to everybody. Like, share, and subscribe. Mr. Faizabad, good night to you. Brian, good night to you. Where is that again? I ain't watching my phone, but good night to everybody on the chat. Is about 90-something of you viewing us. Good night and thank you. Let us build our number.
Yes, indeed.
If there's one thing Mr. COP will do, is to appreciate you all building that numbers.
Yes, indeed, and of course, let me just add that the link was sent. This link was sent to at least two persons, two community activists. One in Lower John. I will take the opportunity to call them now to see whether or not they got the link, and we are experimenting because we're trying to broaden as much as we can in terms of participation. We want to broaden the participation in the program, but in a very practical way, and that is to have people who are activists in their own right call in and give us their own experiences. And I think that is important. Let me just call this number and see.
Sablal, good night to you, brother. And when they do, good night to you.
Supi, you'll tell me if you are hearing her when she answers, if she does.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. A pleasant good night. I want to know if you got the link and if you are coming in.
I know coming in, I know seeing it.
All right, so
I know coming in.
all right,
I know
all right.
seeing
I would
it.
pray in that situation, but you want to talk now about your efforts and some of the things that you are doing in the Lower Junjun area.
Yeah, that's no problem.
All right, okay then. So we'll forget the link because we
would I could just put.
Go ahead. Let me hear what you're saying.
I
could just use my voice instead of a fit.
Okay, right.
I
yes.
had to be on camera.
All right, okay. COP, are you here now?
No.
Oh my goodness, boy! You still have that problem, boy?
No.
All right, but I know that I know the world is hearing her. So go ahead. I'm not going to lose this opportunity. So let's hear what you are doing. Some of your activities in the Lower Junjun area.
Yeah, well, I represent Port of Spain South.
Mm-hmm.
Although I between Lavantil West too.
Mm-hmm.
And for the past 11 years, we have a project called John John Day.
Uh-huh.
John John Day is from the community of other people in America.
Yeah.
So we decided, well, every 2 weeks after their home, we will celebrate our own here in the home place where we have people from John John in our community.
Right.
And make it a grand event. By making it a grand event, each and every one could come out with something to share because we're inviting other communities to come into John John, you know, despite the discrimination or whatever. And it will be good because when everybody come together from other communities, they have a grand time.
Right.
You know? But every year, besides in John John Day, we try to do something before that, like a book drive, a back to school drive, you know? And then we decided the past 6 years now, we decided to have the past 6 years, within the 11 years of hosting John John Day, the past 6 years we had we decided to do a community at John John and environs and surroundings community queen pageant.
Okay.
This pageant we start with emancipation, like African wear. We interacted. We normally buy the materials for the girls and let them do their creative with whatever we give them.
Beautiful.
And this year now, we decided, although we under emancipation, we as a multiculturalism community and country, we decided to do a multicultural program this year.
Okay. Great.
So the multicultural, we have Indians, we have Chinese, we have Syrians, we have Venezuelan, and every one of them have a different culture from their country. So we're trying to do that this year with the young ladies that is taking part, which is 10 beautiful young ladies, you know, from Lab until we have John John Africa, we have Palm Trace, we have Beverly Hills, we have Mover, you know, near and far. So out of the 10 girls, we will be judging them by the concept of what they portray on that day, and plus the intelligence, plus the talent, and plus how they portray their evening gowns and they're telling a story from their community, from where they come from. Right? But we still out there, we looking for like the medias to come highlight it for us because, you know, people doesn't want to come in our community and the newspapers, could come into our community and do just like when they come to take a crime and ask question, interview the people in the community,
Right.
how they feel besides them. If you see John killed who or whatever, we wanted to make a difference, especially with the vulnerable young ladies that we have in this community.
Right.
That is not just about just here and you have a talent and we can make you excel from there so you can see your empowerment within yourself, their self in fact, and to move on to other stages in life.
Magnificent.
End up like himself as Unifils or Miss World.
Right.
Or
Yeah, of course,
some
of course. That's a
Caribbean or something.
that's a foundation.
Yeah.
You hearing me right? You hearing me right?
Yes.
Okay. Listen. Well, what I would suggest to you, based on what we are doing, because this is about showcasing and highlighting, of course, certain parts of the East-West corridor, which, of course, John is a part of. You see pictures and videos and so on, you can send to me, send it WhatsApp, and I will highlight them as well, so that you get optimum exposure as far as the corridor transmission is concerned. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Lennox Smith.
All right.
And thanks for your program, for
And just let's see
highlighting
that
I for the
smash
year,
that
for this kind of
notification.
opportunity from
And every
many
time the
others,
program come
just
on,
like
every
you
time
from
the program
this
come on,
community and
you'll
other
get
people
that,
from
you'll
in
get
this
the
community.
YouTube
But
doesn't charge
you're
only
the
for that.
only
That's free.
person that stands
YouTube
out
doesn't
in
charge
all
only for that.
this
Subscribe
year
and press
of
that
the 6th
notification.
and
That
the
is free.
11th year of
That
our
is free.
program.
To subscribe,
All right.
and press that
Thanks.
notification. That is
much.
free.
Yes, thanks very much, of course, and thank you, of course, for gracing us with your presence and to tell us all of what is happening in the Lower Junction area. Thanks very much once again. Of
Yes.
course, we will be in contact. The next time you might be more prepared to join us directly inside the studio.
Not reach you, but I could not resist this
No problem.
moment.
Yeah, no problem.
Because
Thank you very much.
time is nigh.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
show is the 8th of August,
Right.
and we invite each and every community to come out and support the young ladies. We have a small contribution of $10 and $5 for the children.
Okay.
Why we did that? The place we using the panyard is our community panyard, and we would like to see we could always get to use it, and it always stay in a better situation, clean and maintained.
Wonderful.
So we will be contributing back to
Yeah.
the panyard.
And I
so
hear that there is
whatever.
I hear there is a dynamic football tournament going on among the youths as well.
Very much, yes. Don't even talk
Very,
about
very,
that.
very popular.
These
Yes,
young guys come out with the iconic.
Yeah. I
I
will be up there
thing, and it
from
is
night to
going
night.
Very, very, very good. I can speak about that too. And
Okay.
these young guys that is keeping it is positive youths,
That's
working
right.
youths, and still want to let things happen in the community from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes.
They have the
football
matches. And with the
tournament, yes.
matches,
Yes.
They have all kind of giveaways and all kind of thing from sponsors.
Yes.
So it is a very magnificent thing going on right now. So everything flashing this year, 2026 football and Queen Show. We had John Day. We had our back to school drive.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
it's a compact summer holiday for us in John.
And we will be in
Thank you
touch.
so much.
Yeah, we will be sure. Even if we have to be on every other night, as the case may be, until we realize all of these
until the
objectives.
program is, yes.
All right. Thanks very much. But
I
don't
will send
forget,
the
put pictures
pictures,
together.
Okay.
Put pictures and
Yes,
videos
I
together.
will.
All right, good. All right. So that was, of course, should I say, a community activist from Lower Junction, of course, telling us what is happening in Junction. Remember, of course, we talked about on George Street, where I was impressed with that family day on of all days. Of course, it was a day when Labor, no, it wasn't Labor Day. Yes, no, it wasn't Labor Day. It was Indian Arrival Day. There's so many holidays in Trinidad, so if you will forgive me. But Indian Arrival Day, yes, they had their family day. It was spectacular. It was well attended, well organized, etc. Of course, I know on St. Joseph Road, which is not too far from Junction, just over the road south of it, they have something on the weekends as well. And now, of course, we have heard for yourself, so much things happening in Junction proper, a place that, of course, just as other parts of Laventille, Beetham, Silats, Belmont, etc., and East Port of Spain have been, of course, decried and you get the impression that there's only barbarians that live there, when in fact it's people who, just as anybody else and anywhere else, are trying, of course, to do good and to develop their community. And of course, unfortunately, the negative part of the thing, of the community, is what is usually make the papers naturally. We here are saying that there's another side to these communities, and we will damn well highlight it irregardless. COP, any comment? I know that
You know, some years,
I tried to put it in
a few years ago,
yeah.
Lennox Smith, places like companies like Tech and Wasa, government ministries and things, government is a help communities like this. It's like when help like the same thing. What is the communities like this? It's like sometimes. They have community, they have fun games, sports, they have fun games, all these companies and the sponsor all these companies and the sponsor marketing unless we
are getting some.
We have a contract now. We have a contract.
Yes, some assistance.
But all these places are them assist community. Where is all our love gone?
I think it's part of the malaise of the general society. It appears that there is that falling out of love with patriotism, falling out of love for one another, falling out of love of the fact that one has to be humane, and among us there will be the poor, and there is the poor, and we are seeing it, of course, being manifested in the gangs and the lack of support and community camaraderie, but lack of support in terms of those who would have made it and have the capacity to assist. And I understand to some extent their quagmire, their difficulty. They don't know there's so much to do that they don't know who to assist. Well, I say if you don't know who to if you don't know who to assist, that is not an option. You have to assist someone because you know that there is so much to assist. So choose a charity, choose an initiative. It can't be, I'm sure, it can't be that you're supporting a terrorist group in Trinidad, in East Port of Spain, and so on. No, to me, that's an excuse. But go ahead, my friend.
I will ask that young lady to meet with you, Lennox, and write a letter to the Blue Water Boss asking for some support.
That's a good strategy, yes.
For these programs and them that you all have over there, and we are going to highlight it over here. Write other companies, have the evidence that you ask for support. And you all will get it. You all will get it.
Yeah, the time is right.
You have companies. All the head of South Park, I think, all can write letters to them. The GMB Bank and all them, they can write and ask for support. Because they're asking for $1 million.
And I
or
want
they can write the office of the Prime Minister and ask for love and support. Even the Commissioner of Police all can do that too. But don't just sit down. Write letters.
Yes,
and ask for help and assistance.
And I want to say, because of my own experience and knowledge of the community, many people have very broad shoulders, very big hearts, but they may not have the, let's say, the wherewithal to do the letters, whether it be the intellectual creativity or indeed the material resource. But I want to say the resource center right here on George Street. I know some people will find it difficult because of borderline issue, but if you call, we should be able to do something as we're using the technology. That is why we came up with the technology, because if you can't physically come here, because if you come from a particular area, you feel you might lose your life. Well, we have found another way to treat with it. One, we go into the community. Secondly, we use the technology, and as you saw tonight, we use the particular program to highlight what is happening in Junction, as we'll be doing in Carenage, be doing in Diego Martin, we're doing, of course, in East Port of Spain, we're doing in Barataria, we're doing in Mova, we're doing in Malik, we're doing, of course, in Arima, right up to Toko, and in other areas that would hear the good things that are happening on the corridor transformation, that you would want your particular developmental thrust or area to be highlighted. So it is not limited to the East-West Corridor, but we are focused on the East-West Corridor. And you can't blame us for that, having regard to the tragedy that is either been the experience or is unfolding along the East-West Corridor in particular, having regard to a number of other constraints that have been imposed, and the difficulty in working out a life in this concrete jungle called the East-West Corridor. Any other thing you want to mention? Don't forget the lines are open, people.
And nobody can vex with you for seeking the interest of your community.
No one ought to.
Nobody can vex with you.
No one ought to. Some time ago, I did mention that the National Security Council, under the PNM in 2009, it did invite me, of course, witnessed by Archbishop Barbara Grayburg, because she was there with me and one or two others, with respect to addressing the National Security Council then. Martin Joseph being the late Martin Joseph being the minister at the time, invited me so to do. And of course, as I told you, we emerging from that was something called MLI, making Mova Laventil Initiative. And of course, somebody plagiarized it after the SOE in 2011 and gave it to the Honorable Prime Minister now, but she was then. Of course, I wasn't so close to the administration then, even though, of course, NJAC was part and parcel of it, but sort of, should I say, after we would have shown them where to hold meetings, etc., they literally turned their backs on us. But I am a very broad-minded person, very broad shoulders, and I know time is of essence, but over time, all good things as bad things would come to an end. So we have a new opportunity to revisit that initiative, but as I said, it is still relevant today, encompassing, of course, a number of other initiatives focusing on what I consider the at-risk youths in Trinidad and Tobago, and I say so without fear of contradiction. And of course, the role of the Laventil Technology and Continuing Education Center, which of course is a brainchild of mine, not Fitzgerald Hines. I'll show you a video tonight if we have the time, as to him claiming that that is his doing. And then we have, of course, the East Port of Spain Development Company, which, of course, it was a splendid idea of previous Manning administration. And, of course, subsequently, I became the vice chairman of that particular entity. It's a state enterprise. And, of course, I'm saying putting all of that together, the MLI, the Laventil Technology and Continuing Education Center, as well as the East Port of Spain Development Company. If you put that in the mix, you must get a very positive, of course, depending on who is guiding it and the philosophical underpinning, you will get, because each one of them have a different philosophy. I say they must come together, and if so cannot be taken advantage of because of what the opposition has done, what the independent senators would have done, scuttled that opportunity. And having regard to the fact that East Port of Spain, Laventil, Beetham, Silex, etc., because of their close proximity to the seat of power and the main administrative center of the country, I'm talking about the capital city, there is to be a re-engineering, if you want to call that, or a refocusing on how you deliver services to transform the area. And since you have these institutions already existing, it should not be difficult to bring all of that together to impact on the delinquency, if you want to call it that, but I prefer to say the at-risk youths in these parts, and mushroom it into other communities with a similar model, because we have, of course, in other communities, young people who simply believe that they are in a hopeless situation, one, and two, that gang warfare must be the order of the day, and we are saying that ought not to be. So let me give you, I promise that I will show you, because the infrastructure, the building is still in Gonzales. It's just that nothing is happening since then, because remember I told you that Donna Cox and myself were supposed to set up a building, but as I said, the government changed, so the UNC partnership came into office. The entire thing was hijacked. I'm going to call the name maybe on the next occasion. Who did that? An advisor to the Minister of National Security then, giving that program as the program that they should pursue subsequent to the 2011 coup. But let's go straight to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
A blessed good night to you, Mr. Lennox, and a blessed good night to you, Mr. COP.
Yes. Good night,
I want to say to you, Lennox, first of all, I want to hit on the head one time, because I want to say that I am proud of your interview this morning, Mr. Lennox, with TTT concerning today, the 27th of July.
Yes, thank you very much.
It is. Yes, indeed. Could you recall how much years today since the coup in 1990 in your calculation as teacher?
36 years.
36 years.
Yeah.
36 years. Good.
Yes.
Well, I mean, a lot of youths might have heard, we'll hear, but however, I just called to make that kind of contribution towards a black man of our nation and citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, which is Mr. A.N. Robinson. Because to the end of it all, we have a attitude right now going on in this country, whereby both Indian and African. And Mr. Robinson, as Prime Minister and becoming President, as a black man, he has I want to use some big words like you. He did some introduction of some new things in our country, Trinidad and Tobago. Some stand very well. Right. Some was misunderstood. Take for instance let's take for instance the VAT and the cola. That was a big influence in the country, and knowing that it's a PNM country, it's very sad to see what was happening and the transformation that was taking place even then. And in its time, people started to know about shareholding. Everything was mine. And people said, workers started to know about shareholding. But the point I am making here, we cannot have pregnant people, audience that are listening. And I said that because Mr. Robinson was a black man. And we ignore that. And today we have an Indian woman representing our country as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and which we make some racial statement in our country, making division. But I am saying that as a person, and not only as a person, but I'm saying that as a bishop. Trinidad and Tobago is not what our country could do for us, but what we can do for our country. Mr. Robinson has gone. He has set a pace of cola. And the same cola that was a fermentation to create confusion and to create a coup, that so many people happened to die at that moment. And the VAT was one of the things that he introduced, and the VAT is still on the shelf. African man and woman, arise and put your hammer on. We are in perilous time. And let's take this today and tonight and consider ourselves. Not about race. It is about the division that we create. And when you look at it, all of us are what? Nationals of Trinidad and Tobago. We are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. I want to close here because to the end of the day, I see this brother from Arima. He told from Arima to Port of Spain. But I
Yes, he
want to
does
tell
that
him be very
annually. Yes,
careful
yes.
because when you're doing
Eversley,
yes,
yes, yes,
because
Eversley.
when Eversley, that's the guy. That's the guy. I mean, at that time, I was very proud of him. And trust me, because to make that kind of collision
Yeah,
with the love
sacrifice
that
every
you
year.
had
Yeah, yeah,
for the NAR. And the prime minister, this prime minister here, at that point, she was the minister of education at a point in time with the NAR. So this edification is just to remind some of us. This is for me. It's nothing to do with UNC or PNM because I know PNM are ready to accept their own people because I came to my own and my own received me not. Those who have what you call gratitude for how long, very good luck to them. But I'm telling you, PNM not ready yet. If you look at 33 and come back into power and the treatment that African get among ourselves in our own African party, if it come down to that, me go down by 1% and 3% and 5%. I do make this contribution and thank you all very much and for giving me such a privilege. But
Thank you.
I want to say to you, Lennox, um, a king is always less in his own city. But you are a great community person. Continue to fight and make your effort right. This is the whole substance because we are going. Have a blessed one.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course. COP, of course, was only commendation. I think I would have been the focus, just in case you didn't hear. He commended me, of course, for the interview this morning and television and so on. All right, but let me.
Good night to you, Mackenzie. Mackenzie, good night to you.
Yes, let me, of course, introduce the Gonzales facility that is still there, called MLI. I think I gave the background already just before Mr. Mackenzie joined us. So let's go there one time. So there it is, still in Gonzales, the MLI. There is something called the Joint Community Services Center. You see there, so Gonzales, and you see it's on top there, MLI. But they call it, of course, Making Life Important. That is the plagiarized version of it, but it's really Mobile Aventil Initiative. So right in the community of Gonzales, it's still there. There's a police post there, so that's the building there. The police will use it from time to time, but the intention was to have it used as a facility or as a center where persons in the community using their parents' gallery or as the case may be will make timely and real-time intervention. A young man want to go and do a trade. A young man want to further his education. Or a young lady, somebody want to get some clothes to go and do an interview. The role of the community-based, let's say, officers was to capture that person, pull him out of the system, and then if it's education, Ministry of Education, come to that center that you see there, and then we will, in quick time, we give everybody days in which to operate, and then the center will have access to the various ministries by authorization. There's no delay. So that young man want to get additional education. He has his qualifications, etc. We have an officer attached to the facility there in Gonzales. If it was Gonzales, of course, as I said, the facility there, and then of course the ministry take that person and guide them through the system. That is what that was meant to be. Yes, indeed. Of course, the concept was the empowerment zone concept, where the community will take charge of all of these initiatives. In that way, how a young man could have time to go and join a gang? How could a person who is a recidivist or a person who is bent on criminal behavior get chance to catch that fella because we would catch him first and put him into, he or she, into a direction to advance his or her education, to advance his or her sporting ideals, his or her craft or vocational skills. His or her ambition may be to go away, to get into agriculture, to get into business, to set up their own ability to generate employment opportunities for themselves as a self-employed entity. All of that. That is what that was all about. Today, the building stands there as a blue elephant, if you want to call that, because the color is blue. And that came out of the intervention in 2009, having addressed the National Security Council. At the time, of course, Manning was the Prime Minister, and Martin Joseph, the Minister of National Security, who invited me. And as I told you last time, I gave you all of the documentation in terms of the program of activities that would have been rolled out. So by now, you won't have to now be reconsidering MyLap and MyTap and YTEP and the Citizen Conservation Corps. No, you had one national program treating with the particular youth, because to these programs, as I said, that as they exist, the young men who are gravitating to gangs and so on, don't go to them. So you're wasting time, you're wasting money. And those who go, they see it as a career. They go program hopping because there's so much of them. When they're about to finish, because each one of them has a stipend attached. So when one going and finished, the 3-month stint or 6-month stint, they just go and apply to MyLap. And when that going and finish, they apply to MyTap. And when that going and finish, they apply to YTEP. And so I know, I've been there. I've been in the vineyards. And I put it to Mr. Manning, who agreed, but never did anything about it. Never did anything about it. It behoves on this government to really seriously look at that situation. The young men I'm talking about will not enter Serval, because Serval has a cadre of individuals, and what they will do is choose the best and quickly get rid of those who will never see MyLap and MyTap as a viable option for them, in spite of the stipend. It's much more than that. It is psychological. It is gravitating or attracting what they would like. For example, if I'm doing a program now to deal with those youths, one of the things that may be unorthodox but necessary, particularly where these young people are really urban-based, meaning that they are in built-up communities. First thing I would do is make an arrangement with the ministry or the licensing office. And one of the benefits is that before they leave the program, they must get a license, a driver's permit. Many of them don't go to get the driver's permit, not because they're afraid, but because they have challenges with respect to the material to learn. But of course, they could drive too bad. But it's the academic or the theoretical part that they have to also pass that would be an impediment. So they prefer to drive without license and take the chances. Well, in that program, I would have done that. And like we did in the previous program, we get the Ministry of Social Development to make certain that each one of them get some kind of subsistence support, welfare support. And in that way, we get the parents involved, because the parents wouldn't want to lose it. And therefore, when we send for a parent to say, this boy is not doing his work, as the case may be, they come running, because the threat is, if they do not conform to the best that the young man that they deliver to us, or woman or girl can do, then we take care of the system. That threat alone brings them there. They come and find out how he's doing this, and they become very, 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 very interested. As I told when I was, well, just about chairman. I was not yet chairman, but I didn't even know I would have been chairman, well, vice chairman of the East Port of Spain Development Company. When I got there, eventually, they said, listen, the CEO telling me, listen, in a meeting, Lavington people ain't like nothing. We want to let them know what we have in store for them, contracts, this, that, and so on, and how they could set up their own businesses and so on, even for contractual opportunities, beyond, of course, East Port of Spain. But the day when we went up in Angostura Center, only about 4 of them turned up. After they blitz the whole place and say that there's a meeting at the center. I told the CEO, much to her surprise and maybe possibly dismay, because she don't find that she should do that. I said, listen, if it was me, I would have get that place full and overflowing. So she wanted to know how. I said, it's very easy. Whilst I am spending money to blitz and to hire a car and mics and speakers and all of that, and to drive around the place, saying, come to the center, East Port of Spain will be there, I will be saying, each person will get a hamper. That's all I have to say. Each person will get a hamper. And that's it. Very, very, very easy. And don't tell me I know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking to you, COP. I'm talking about the audience there who may be skeptical. I want to bring 2 reasons that they know. I could never put me in the bracket of I know what I'm talking about. Why you think Heinz was run out of the bottom under some heavy, dirty water? Why you think? If it was me and I was him, I would have full my car with $150 hampers, full it, trunk inside and so on, and going inside of it. You know how much handshake, you know how much loving, you know how much kisses, you know what I would have got, or he would have gotten if he had done that. But no, he gone in there because he is big time Heinz. The people in stress and distress. The place flooded out. The food, they know where they're getting next day. And you come there saying, well, big time Heinz come and he acting as Attorney General, and therefore, here am I. And the car full of the belly. You brought nothing to the table. And that simple gesture of just filling your car with some hampers and crying it in would have solved the blasted problem, and they get, of course, to deal with them in a more deeper situation. There's a next incident I want to tell you as well. I ain't talking, I don't ever talk by guess. And anybody believe that I know what I'm talking about, let them go with nothing and tell people to come to any program in Lavington and see what come to you. See if they're coming. You have to understand the psychology, because what you want them is in the environment. And once you get them in the environment, the learning environment I'm talking about, now you can deliver, and therefore they can begin to see something in a different perspective, and of course begin to transform their lives, and therefore their families and the entire blasted community will benefit from it. That's what you have to do. And it ain't costing you much. I would take $1,000, spend it in groceries, and go up there. How the hell you could go up there and people who are desperate and in a state of abject poverty and talk that kind of noise? They don't want to hear that, because that is futuristic. They know about when the grass growing, the horse starving scenario. That has been their life, that has been their cycle, that has been their understanding, that has been their experience. So the other one, a contractor decides. A contractor was given the job to widen the drain on the northern side of Beetham Phase 4 along the priority bus route. So, the contractor moving, but the people come out too. And they demanded work. And of course, the contractor threatened with violence. So Heinz turned on and said, the people again in Laventille don't like nothing. People in Laventille don't like anything. And no, the people in Laventille need prayer. That's what he said. On that occasion, they need prayer. So I had to respond to him and tell him, listen, if you have 100 persons in the desert situation and everybody is thirsty, and you bring a glass of water, what do you think will happen? Nobody will drink because everybody go fight for it. Not so, COP?
I agree.
Nobody go get. So the point I was making to him is that you cannot have people who have been in abject need like that and then bring one program. You have to bring a program that will satisfy at least a critical mass so that they feel confident that they don't have to destroy that which had been designed to assist them, because the drain, the expansion, was to prevent flooding from going into that part of the community. But they didn't care because they saw it as an opportunity, a rare opportunity, and therefore the contractor had to pay the price. And he turned and said, they want prayer. But I want to give you a final one to make certain that I understand the psychology and the socio-economic realities of that place. And I'm giving only a free lecture. I talk about you, COP. I know you know that, but certainly the people out there who are decision makers.
I taking a lecture too.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. The school I attended, Hockett Baptist Primary School, spent over 12 years with the next school lower down, Laventille Government Primary School. Spent 12 years. Why? Because their building was destroyed. It gets so old that it was not habitable, and it still had latrines. Yeah, that's the school I went to, right on Passage Street. 12 years. So when the NR came into office, I told the minister then, I think it was one of the Pantons, listen, we need to get this school up and running and out of there. To cut a long story short, we got the school built, but I found the land because adjacent to that land, there's a next piece of land that I wanted to put the structure for MLIO finally, so that we move from the school into MLIO, those who qualify to get in. Well, when the contractor reached on the site, everybody started to fight again. But it's my project now, so I'm in charge. So I showed them a copy of the plans and so on. But they started to fight. This, that. So what I had to do, in fact, the contractor turned and tell the ministry, listen, people in Laventille like good thing for themselves. All of that happened. And what I did, I got to the ground. So those fellas in Paradise High 2 were fighting. Those who in Never Dirty were fighting. Those who in Monrepo was fighting. Those who in Passage Street side was fighting. Or those who was in the immediate vicinity in Mova was fighting. And I went to them. And I told them in very pointed language, listen, we have fought for over 12 years to get this school going. And when you prevent it from being constructed, all of them in separate meetings, of course, and then we had a mass meeting. When you prevent it from happening, you are doing a disservice to our children. And I pointed out the disservice. I said, one, the school represents augmented or increased school places for the community. At present, because of the lack of school places, because the school has to share with another school, it means therefore they cannot get the full complement. We Hockett cannot get its full complement. Either it is squatting in another person's domain, and the animosity that creates. It creates that, right? The original school saying, well, only occupying we school, etc., and teachers and all feeling how. But more significantly, because of the reduction in the number of school places, it means therefore people have to find money to send the children in town or out of Laventille to go to school. Understand that, fellas. That is what you are doing if you did not allow the school to be constructed. But I went further. I said, apart from the little bit of employment opportunity the construction phase will generate, but they have permanent work as well. I said, look at the PH driving is a phenomenon there, is a regularity, is a normal thing. I said, look at how much the school is to accommodate. I think 300 or 400 there, but 300 to 400 students. So I said, listen, look how much people now will be coming to that school where nothing was happening before, and therefore off-route business, and therefore more people could invest in taxis and their PH cars and get more business coming in. That is what that represents. That is what all I want to avoid from happening. And then I went further. I said, and just outside the precincts, because it's a beautiful place on a plateau, and you're seeing, of course, the Gulf of Paria from there. I said, but people will now have the ability to now set up the little makeshift parlors and so on and make money off it, quite apart from the fact that if they have to employ persons to clean out the school, the likelihood that they will take people from the immediate neighborhood and therefore generating more employment is real. But you making joke. You making joke. The next day, the contractor rolled back in, and Hockett School was completed eventually. And exactly what I said, it brings in more economic opportunities for the immediate area. The fellas around benefiting, and the task would have been completed. But if I had waited like Heinz and didn't say nothing, I just say that the people of Laventille want prayers. Never get that. Never get that. Just as how, of course, I was able to strategically withdraw when the PNM came into office, withdraw from the initiative of the Laventille Technology and Education Center. Otherwise, we'll never have it for the PNM alone. But when I realized that they want to take it over, he and others, I withdrew. Because if I had only made the intervention, they would have gone as far as to not construct that there. And don't tell me I know what I'm talking about either. Because it happened with Maurice Marshall. When we decided to build a grocery for the community, 11 organizations came together, and after the coup, the IDB, something called MIF, the Multilateral Investment Fund, they said that they will invest in all of the community initiatives would take place. But by the time that came around, the government changed. Maurice Marshall came in. And he was only concerned about the benefits to be derived from those persons who were operating under the NAR. And when we realized that, it would have been too late. They never got the grocery because they said that the funds must be used for other things. Because I remember the candidate was part and parcel of that whole initiative under the NAR. I'm talking about Wilfred Farrell. I know that Dr. Khalid is listening, so he would know of that. We never got the grocery, and everything was so fragmented that the monies that was expended in each community activity never delivered that which was expected on a sustained basis. Everything was fragmented. That's the PNM. Just as when the UNC under Kamala Prasad Bisesa said that they will give each one of those apartment buildings I'm looking at right now, opposite me here, for $100. Just prove that your name is at the HGC, and therefore the initial tenant of those apartments. At $100. Eulalie James was the representative for Port of Spain South and was alive at the time. And she told those persons who occupy those buildings, listen, that is a trick. Who go maintain it, etc. $100, you know. And you concerned about who go maintain it. And in spite of our efforts to show them, listen, if you get the building for $100, a 99-year lease, because they can't sell the land, the government can't sell the land, they could lease it out, as we have seen even with Hadid. With that, you can now go to the bank, and if you want to buy next piece of land somewhere, because that is yours, you buy it, or you want to start a business right there, you do it because you have collateral. Right now, you're just renting, even though it's small money. But Eulalie James encouraged them to spend that small money every month without owning anything. And it has remained that way. I talk about 2005, 2005. 2005. And I went on to tell them, listen, you own the building, so therefore, Carnival time, for example, most of the hotels oversubscribe. They have room. But if we could clean up the social problem here, crime, criminality, our young people gravitated to a life of crime, and of course gang and shootings and killings and so on, if we could do that, then every year around Carnival time, I want to see every single apartment clear out a room, and everybody come together and advertise in United States, Canada, Europe, that there are rooms for rent for Carnival only. So you take back your room after Carnival, and you're making US money, because where you are, as they step out from their apartments, is straight into the Carnival. You're done in town already. You're in a better strategic position than Hilton.
Yes.
Better strategic position than Hilton. That is the kind of vision we told them. And they still listen to Eulalie James. Still listen to them. So there have been some successes, and there, of course, are some failures. I'm going to put it that way. But I'm not going to blast it, give up. So people, that's what you're seeing there in Gonzales is the MLI facility that is still there, a blue elephant or gray elephant or blue and gray and green elephant, whatever you want to call it. And so long as I have breath in my lungs, that will be dedicated for the purpose for which it was originally set up. It's still there right now. Police don't use it, so they just have it as an outpost kind of thing. But it's there. So people, of course, I think I've said enough. I realize that less people call in tonight because, of course, they wanted to hear more about what transpired today and what are some of the inviting and enticing things that are really possible even all now. Your closing remarks, my friend.
Lennox, and listeners and viewers of the Corridor Transmission, I believe you are at the night. Mr. COP is very, very, very tired. It takes a lot to come out over here tonight just to be part of the Corridor Transmission viewers and supporters. The government just needs to do what they have to do to assist the vulnerable communities. If you all want to stay, in office for the next 10 years, you all need to work double hard. There are communities in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, in my view, have everything. There are communities in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago do have nothing. Show interest into the communities and that don't have nothing. Show empathy, show love. That is the only way the people that must show appreciation. If you show empathy and love and do your job is to only represent the people, deliver goods and service. The community have problem, your job is to fix that problem and make sure the people that live a comfortable life. Once you do that job, collision of interest, you have nothing to worry about. You don't have to use your money. All you don't have to use all your mother and father money that they leave for you. We give the 1.3 million people in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, we give you all 50 something billion dollars the last budget. We give you all 50 something billion dollars to make our life better, to create opportunities for the future of this country, to complete that 129 schools that the PNM abandoned. We give you all money for that. We give you all money for national security, about $7 billion. Nowhere else in the Western Hemisphere, national security just gets $7 billion. We give 7,000 police officers $7 billion to ensure that we have a safe and secure Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Do all your job, put our money to use, spend our money wisely. That's $7 billion that we spend behind national security and $7 billion behind health. That $14 billion could cut in half and see about the communities and them. Because if you fix the communities and them, you're going to spend $7 billion in health and $7 billion in crime for the national security. It will be a secure, a safe and secure country, a crime-free country, and we won't have to be spending all that money. Taxpayers' money will not be spending that kind of money. Spend 30 cabs, hold all them ministers into account, and tell them to spend our money wisely. The only thing the citizens of this country is vote out party for is for corruption. We in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is vote out a political party when they're not helping, when they're not representing, and engage in corruption. I'm not saying that you all engage in corruption. I'm not saying that. Represent the people and them, and you all will be in corruption. Show the people them evidence that you all are assisting and representing them, especially in the time of need. Do that. The country depends on you. The country wants to see you do good. The majority of the people in this country vote for the collision of interest. Which party had the minority votes? Do the work so that you will end up with the majority. Whenever you get the majority is when you will be in office. And to be in office, you have to keep the majority and do the work for the majority to stay in office. Lennox Smith, good night to you and good night to all you listeners and viewers of the Corridor Transmission.
Yes, indeed. I don't think I need to add anything to that, except to say, of course, don't forget that tomorrow morning, the ground report, and myself, of course, and Snipes will be doing it for you. Don't forget, tomorrow night, we have more and more and more. It's the only program, of course, that has content unlimited. Let me repeat, content unlimited. You ain't seen nothing yet. But we also have the capacity to generate what is called the social re-engineering that is required in order to bring peace and security and continued and lasting prosperity to Trinidad and Tobago. All you have to do is to give us the opportunity. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and see you then.
Yes, stay safe. Love, manners, and respect.
So the treasury broke and they say that recession jamming. So foreign countries really start migrating. They lose faith in the country, they say we gone down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talk it nonsense, but the majority of we decide we're not going to run, because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing its darkest hour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life could be much sweeter.
Joe, good night to you, Joe.
No employment, cattle fire cracker from gunshot, blood does flow when things get hot. Afraid to look out the window, to hear voices from the ghetto.